Op het Mobile Health Congres in Utrecht schuift een Brit aan, Christopher Gray. Mr. Gray, welcome. What is your role in all this?
Thank you very much. So I work with Accenture and I'm responsible for all of the work that we do using data and analytics across our health and public service clients. So today I'm really talking about what we're seeing for the future opportunities around data, artificial intelligence as it relates to health.
We all have answers and we do have questions. Which part would you like to start with?
Let's start with the questions, perhaps.
Okay, what is a question for you in this field that you fight with?
I think one of the questions that we're constantly asked is sort of where do I start and how do I start? How do I go about, the market's talking a lot about data, there's lots and lots of companies out there with solutions, there's lots and lots of ideas, and often it's almost overwhelming to try and figure out where do people start, and also how do they put the right structures in place to make a start. I think that's one of the key questions a lot of people are asking right now.
What's another one?
Another one is around the data. All right, so everybody is drowning in data. And again, they're trying to figure out, do they need to structure the data? Do they need to cleanse the data? Do they need to protect the data before they start to use it? Or actually, do they start to just make some inroads and then evolve its use and put the security or put enrich the data as they go forward? And I think it becomes a bit of a chicken and egg situation. Yeah. If I spend all my time cleaning the data, I don't really know what use it is. But if I start to use it, am I at risk because it's not perfect?
Yeah. Before we come to the answer part, which questions do really irritate you?
Questions that really irritate me.
Not again, or bugger off, or
I think there is one of the ones that I think just comes time and time again, I suppose, if I start to think about it, is people feeling that they need a big program that is going to take a lot of time or a lot of effort to get started. A lot of people are saying, oh, you need a brand new data warehouse, you need to start to invest a lot of money to really see some gains. My sense is if I look at everything that health does, you can start very small and have a major impact, even if it may be not in the clinical areas, it may be in the administration. But if you can start to use, for example, robotics and AI in a really small way to start to process appointments more quickly, or you're avoiding telephone calls, etc. And I do think people feel like they have to do big programs, they have to get lots of money and start. And I guess it's trying to encourage people that they can really jump in much more quickly and easily. So,
okay, let's go to the answers. There are dilemmas, there are doubts, things that we are not sure of. What is an important answer that you take to a symposium like this from Britain?
I'm not sure that Britain has all of the answers, so let's start with that one. I think when I look at across Europe and what's happening in the different countries. I think we were chatting just before this. I don't think the Netherlands necessarily is in a uniquely different position to many other countries. I see many people starting to go down this route. I think there's an awful lot trying to move to scale and are really then starting to figure out how can I get the collaboration going on. I think that collaboration is absolutely key.
Collaboration between?
It's between physicians and the more technical side of things, so the people who are in the IT areas. It's collaboration between hospitals, between research institutions and hospitals, or between third-party providers of healthcare. And trying to get that ecosystem right. I think nobody has the...
I miss one word.
Okay.
The patient.
The patient, absolutely.
Because I was told by many people today that the patient is probably the key player in this collaboration.
Absolutely. I mean, the patient is their data in some ways. Although we do have to sort of get the balance. I was talking to some people previously about this. I guess if you ask me, I think we sometimes perhaps can oversensitize just what's the question we're asking the patient. They may not have the answer to it. If you ask me, do I want to share my data or use my data? My immediate answer is no. If you say, well, do you want me to help you to have a better quality of life or to help you avoid passing on a genetic disease to a child? My answer is yes. So I think we have to be absolutely engage the patient, but we need to also educate them in terms of what it means. I think it can be quite frightening to say we're using your data. And if it's my blood test results or my blood pressure results, is that really my data? It's my data at a point in time on a certain day, right? So.
What's your personal experience with e-health?
We've been working with countries around Europe and actually also in Latin America. And it really varies, right? We are working, as I say, for example, applying AI to very much hospital administration, trying to work with large hospitals to predict inflows of patients, the need for beds, the scheduling of cleaning and very operating theatre time. So very much in the administration side.
Yeah.
We're working with startups in Spain who are applying AI to provide recommendations to doctors in real time as you type up notes. There are companies now that will be able to pop up alerts to say, oh, a reminder, check this person's, these vital signs because it looks like they may have this issue. And then we're working on clients with some of the more data platforms and some of the infrastructure areas. So that's about building the infrastructure that allows hospitals and clinics to share data more easily, or indeed putting in platforms that allow research institutions to suck up data from all sorts of different entities and allow research to happen much more quickly.
I also meant if you needed e-health yourself at a certain moment in your life.
Fortunately not to date, but I do think it's interesting, and I may refer to this later on this afternoon. I get a health check every 2 years, and it's amazing the quality of data that has been enriched over that period of time in terms of my own awareness. And probably, I say 2 years ago, all my indicators were going in the wrong way, right? I was middle-aged, middle-aged, I have an office job, I spent too much time traveling around, eating the wrong food, not doing exercise, and you could see that in the numbers, right? But being
like which ones?
Whether that was cholesterol, body fat percentage, weight, all of those sorts of things, and just flexibility, etc. were getting worse.
But you look like a young god.
But it was interesting is it was the data that prompted me to say actually all of the graphs are going in the wrong way. And then when I started on the journey of trying to get fitter again, I then, like many people today, started to look at apps or wearables that, and other tools that allow you to prompt you to take exercise or prompt you to enter your calories or monitor your steps or your heart rate. And the last time I did the test, fortunately, as you say, I've managed to reverse the trend. So I think, people are much more aware now, and it's easier for many people to have that accessibility. There's parts of society we need to work with who don't have that yet. But from my perspective, just being able to understand my own health and have a better picture of what's going on inside, I suppose, has been really eye-opening and has changed my behaviours.
What is the journey ahead? What do we face in, let's say, the coming 5 years?
I think it was Bill Gates who said we always overestimate what will happen in 2 years and the progress, but underestimate the progress we'll make in 10. So I do think everybody's saying that in the next 2 years, I think we will become more and more ubiquitous to see bots and working alongside our patients. It will become the norm, perhaps, for scans to be screened by an AI bot to start to pinpoint where people should focus. I think that will become the norm. I think we'll start to see more auto-scheduling and more of AI used in administration. There'll be certain procedures that probably will be better delivered by robots or assisted by robots. So I think it will just become part of the norm. I mean, if you look at it with an aging population, with increasing financial pressures, we're approaching probably a shortage of physicians and clinicians in the future anyway. So I think, we have to find new ways of diverting demand. We also have to find new ways of addressing some of that demand when it comes through the door. And I think with the right blend of technology, and it's not technology taking over, it's working alongside the real experts, but working hand in glove, I think we can start to hopefully reduce some of the demand and free up some of the services.
That would be a sort of dream scenario. What could be a horror scenario?
I think the horror scenario for me is when we don't pay enough attention to what we are really doing, right? I mean, there's a lot of talk today about ethical AI. Everyone's saying, yes, let's use the data, it will make the decisions, but we also have to really be careful about, are we using the right data? Are we building bias into our algorithms or into those decision makings that actually is perhaps reducing opportunities for certain people to get certain treatments or sending people down the wrong pathway? I think the horror scenarios, we just assume that the machine is always going to be right, and we almost relinquish responsibility to the machine. That to me, relinquishing responsibility to the data is the wrong answer. That will then have a huge pushback and a huge kickback. And security, data security, cyber attacks, etc. If I'm monitored in my home, or you've got accessibility to that, and then that starts to get leaked, I think that's probably one of my other fears that would set us back because of the reaction.
We don't want to become a North Korea. Also not when e-health has a lot of positive elements.
Yes.
There are the other side ones.
Yes.
Are you sure the positive ones will win?
I think they will. I think we will find the right way to do that. And I think, interestingly, we've done a citizen survey of 8,000 people around the world. People want this, right? They want to have more control over their lives and more personalized medicine. Nobody really likes to feel that they are having to fit into a machine or to a flow or to a process. They feel like this is my life. And often when you're ill, you're feeling quite vulnerable, and therefore you really want to have, that's the last thing you want to relinquish, is control yourself. So I think if we can find the right balance of giving people greater control and greater insight through the use of mobile devices, or indeed better use of data, then I think that's going to be really helpful for people, and we will.
So we're not heading for Pyongyang?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Thank you very much.
No.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.